Good morning, Yeladim. For our Torah story today, we're going to share a book called The Story of Passover. The story of Passover begins more than 3,000 years ago when Yaakov and his family settled in Mitzrayim. Yaakov was called Yisrael, and his family were called the Bnei Yisrael. They were also called Hebrews because of the language they spoke. Many years passed. Yaakov and his children had all died. To Paro, the ruler of Egypt, the Bnei Yisrael were outsiders. He was afraid that one day they would rebel to control them. He made them slaves. He forced them to do hard work. They were beaten. The wise men of Egypt told Paro that one day a Jewish boy would be born who would lead his people against Mitzrayim. They couldn't tell him which boy it would be, so Paro decreed that every newborn boy would be thrown into the river. One boy was saved. At first his mother hid him. Then, when he grew too big to hide, she placed him in a small basket. She put the basket in the river. The baby's sister Miriam hid nearby to see what would happen. A princess, Paro's daughter, found the baby. She named him Moshe and planned to raise him as her own child. Miriam ran to her. "Should I get someone to help you with the baby?" "Yes," the princess said. Miriam brought the baby's mother to work in the palace. Moshe was adopted by the princess, but he knew that he was one of the Bnei Yisrael. When he was a young man, he saw an Egyptian beat a slave. Moshe attacked the Egyptian, and then he ran away. Moshe settled far from Egypt. He married and worked as a shepherd. One day, while Moshe was watching his sheep, he saw a burning bush. There were flames, but the bush wasn't harmed. "Moshe, Moshe," a voice called from the bush. "Yes, here I am." Hashem spoke to Moshe from the burning bush. He told Moshe to lead the Bnei Israel out of Egypt. Moshe and his older brother Aaron went to Paro. They asked him to let the Bnei Israel go free. Paro refused. He forced the Jewish people to work even harder. Moshe and Aaron warned him that even if he didn't let the Jewish people go, the waters of Egypt would turn to blood. Paro refused, and the waters turned to blood. That was the first plague to strike Egypt. There were 10. Frogs covered the land. A thick cloud of lice swarmed over Egypt. Animals ran wild. The Egyptians' cattle became terribly sick and died. Painful boils broke out on the skins of the Egyptians. Huge hailstones mixed with fire fell on the land. A swarm of locusts attacked Egypt. It was as dark as night in the middle of the day. Then came the 10th plague, the final plague. It passed over the homes of the Jewish people. Paro was frightened. He was a firstborn. He called for Moshe and Aaron. "Leave now," he told them. "Go quickly before we all die." The Jewish people left that very night. They had to go so quickly they couldn't even let their dough rise. It baked into flat matzah. The next day, Paro had a change of heart. He and his army chased after the slaves. Paro's soldiers had horses, and their chariots were getting closer and closer to the Bnei Yisrael. The Red Sea was in front of them. The soldiers were behind him. They seemed trapped. Hashem told Moshe, "Lift your stick and spread your hand over the sea." Moshe did, and the sea split. The Jewish people walked through dry land. Paro's army followed them. Then, when the soldiers were in the middle of the sea, Moshe rose his stick again. The waters flooded together. The Egyptians drowned, and Bnei Israel were finally free. On Pesach, Jewish people all over the world celebrate their freedom from slavery and their beginnings as a great nation.